Hey guys, I'm Justin.
I'm Dan.
And we are back finally after a little bit of a hiatus. Just life has struck as it usually does. But we are back and going to do another brand new episode of One Fall to a Finish. Today we give our review and our thoughts on WrestleMania 41.
Are you ready?
Let's get ready to rumble!
Alright, so night one, WrestleMania 41. I didn't do arena and total attendance and all that stuff for this show. I'm sure most of you out there watching this watched it. So anyways, we start out, the big news I think that broke, we'll talk about that for just a second. WWE purchases AAA. I'm not real sure how I feel about it.
I don't know what they're doing. That's the first thing that came to my mind was like, oh, okay, they bought that, but why? And I don't have a clue.
It's almost like, are they doing it to put a footprint in Mexican wrestling? I mean, I know the luchadors have kind of gotten more, as we'll talk about on here, they get two matches with Rey Fenix and Penta kind of getting their due, having just appeared on the roster. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I get it, but like it's almost similar to what they did to the UK. They went there to open up NXT UK, stole all the top UK talent and put them under that umbrella, and it kind of killed the UK independent scene for quite a while.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they're going to leave AAA alone. I enjoy AAA. I like watching it, and I like it the way it is. So I'm kind of hoping this is just maybe
they'll funnel
buy to put up under the umbrella.
Yeah.
The TKO umbrella.
Yeah.
This is an international sports entertainment / fight company. Because I don't think they're done.
No.
I think New Japan may be next.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if they do that, that's only going to leave CMLL in Mexico and all Japan really in Japan. So yeah, I mean, they're definitely cornering the market. It'll be interesting to see what comes, but they made sure that they broke that news there at WrestleMania. I think the actual current owners were there.
They were?
Showed them in the front row there during some of the matches. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. AAA champion right now, I believe, is Alberto Del Rio, going by Alberto Patron. So that'll be kind of interesting to see what they do there, because I know that relationship is pretty rocky the way that he left the first go around. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. Like I said, hopefully they leave it alone. Hopefully they'll let it just be standalone. Yeah. I know the Pena family is still going to be associated because it said that they were still going to be presidents and chairmen. So hopefully it's just a buyout, but keep doing your thing. Yeah. We just want you under our umbrella. Yeah. So we'll see. Because I'd hate to see Conan not have a job.
Oh yeah. Him and Vampiro. And I think Triple Mania comes up in August maybe. So we'll see. I feel like if anything WWE takes over, I feel like it'll rear its head at Triple Mania being AAA's biggest show of the entire year. So
and hopefully they do, because they put so much emphasis to the WWE fans. Because they put it on a WWE broadcast, right? So they had the Pena family, they announced the ownership, and they showed them, and they highlighted luchadors during WrestleMania. So maybe those luchadors will be on Triple Mania to get some of this American audience to watch that, and hopefully that's the goal. Is to combine the audiences.
Hopefully WWE will get an American announced team in there and funnel some money into it, and like you said, leave it alone. So, but anyways, we open up night one, the World Heavyweight Championship here, as Gunther, your defending champion, takes on Jey Uso, the Yeet Master himself, and the winner of the 2025 Royal Rumble. Go ahead.
This whole night, man, night one, drug to me.
Very much.
I wasn't really looking forward to this match because we'd already seen it 2-3 times before in the last few months. So it didn't bring anything different. It wasn't different. It was the same match we could have watched 2 months ago. And set aside his popularity, Jey Uso is a tag team wrestler.
Very much so.
He is not entertaining as far as great matches as a singles competitor. Now, there's no denying his popularity. his merchandise sales. He deserves to be where he's at based on business metrics. But as a singles competitor, it's not hitting. It's not hitting at all.
Yeah. Very much so. The build up to this too, I think, was my big thing. I actually was kind of looking forward to this because I was hoping at WrestleMania we would get something a little different. And you had Gunther with the attack on Jimmy Uso. That was the first time that WWE has had that much blood in a broadcast in literally probably years. And you know, when we came out, Jey Uso was yeeting, and it was just another match for him. At the ring of that bell, he should have jumped Gunther and tried to take his life because he had beaten his brother within an inch of his, and instead it was just, like you said, another normal match. Gunther with a lot of chops. Jey Uso trying to find a way to kind of skirt around the power that Gunther has. So I did not care for this one. Jey Uso, however, did come away with the win and is now the new World Heavyweight Champion for the WWE. So this one for me, yeah, I'm the same way. I feel like night one is a glorified Raw. It did not feel like a WrestleMania. Nothing had that big match feel minus the main event. And that was it for me. So for this one, I give it a C.
Yeah, I gave it a D. Only because it's not a WrestleMania match to me. Maybe if they didn't let these guys wrestle, 3 times before this, with Jay to losing efforts, and it wasn't necessarily a good I'm going to get you eventually story. It was just, they had the Jimmy getting choked out, put out, and like incapacitated for a few weeks because he wasn't there at WrestleMania. He'd show up the night after, but he wasn't there. So it was like, okay, about killed my brother, I'm going to try to kill you. And like you said, to your point, like there wasn't that killer instinct to get revenge. But
no. It was just another match, and definitely, I mean, we've talked about it before with our other reviews. A lot can be said with how you start your pay-per-view, and I did not feel like this was a strong start at all. So,
and it definitely didn't. I don't know, man. Gunther, I'm usually a huge fan of Gunther, and this was just, it wasn't a WrestleMania match at all.
No, very much so. Yeah. The next one I feel like kind of falls under that same category as we get the World Tag Team titles with the War Raiders taking on the New Day. I mean, it was cool that this was kind of a greatest hits match, I feel like, for the War Raiders. They brought out actually a lot of moves that we had not seen them use in quite a bit of time, kind of arcing back to their NXT days. But again, not really anything different. And the New Day, to me, is just an extremely stale act. They turn them heel to try to reinvigorate them. And it's not working.
No, because they never should have turned them heel together.
No.
In my opinion, Austin... What's his name?
Austin Theory?
No. Austin Creed. I'm drawing a blank. Kofi's tag team partner. What's his WWE?
Xavier Woods.
Xavier Woods, okay. Xavier Woods should have turned heel and Kofi kept face. And that's where I thought they were going because it was an internal struggle of, Xavier being mad at Kofi, like, hey, you made us lose again, this, that, and that. But then when they turned him heel just the same, like the New Day's been dead for 3 years. Solidly dead for 3 years, and you can tell. Watch Raw, watch any time they come out. Nobody does a thing. There's no business that they need to be together. This match was only put there so the War Raiders can wear the damn Clash of Clans outfit. It was a big game advertisement. I went and got another beer while I was at home during this match because I had no desire. There was no build up for me at all. So.
I think at this point, the New Day honestly has to be the longest tag team that WWE has ever kept without breaking them up. I mean, the New Day has been on the scene. I mean, yes, we lost Big E due to injury, but I mean,
12 years?
Oh yeah, it's been forever. And it was cool at first. They were able, they were more PG when they first started. They were able to get the bootios and kind of, do all that around it, the trumpet playing. But man, after this long, they need to do something different.
They should split them up. They should have done it when they turned them heel. Kofi should still be a face. And Xavier Woods should be a super, like one of those super professor, very intellectual kind of heel. Because he's a smart dude. I think he had a PhD in something. But they should have done something. But this wasn't, man. It's just, I don't know. F.
No? Okay.
Because it's Mania.
It's
Mania. You can't give me something I can see on Raw on Mania.
I did. I kept it with a C. Like I said, not a Mania match, but I mean, if you put this on any other show, it was a fine match for what it was, but definitely not Mania quality. But
hadn't we
still
seen
keep
it?
it with a C.
Hadn't we seen it
a million and one times?
Last couple of months. That's what WrestleMania to me usually is matches that haven't happened, and if you've got a match, they're not going to touch till WrestleMania. It's going to be all story. It's going to be all emotion, all build. This Mania, man, I feel like you said, another episode of Raw, because I feel like we've seen all these matches.
Yeah.
Outside of a few,
Yeah. Next up, we would have Jade Cargill taking on Naomi. And this one, another tough one, another slog to get through, kind of, so to speak. Yeah. I will at least say Jade Cargill in her infancy, she went to AEW. I don't feel like AEW did anything to further her training. They brought her in trying to make her the new women's Goldberg.
They don't do that with anybody.
And they didn't really do much with her. I think WWE is at least trying to build her. I think they're trying to get some more training under her belt. And I feel like, in all honesty, this match shows that. Is she the caliber of a Rhea Ripley or Charlotte Flair? Absolutely not. But I honestly can see, that she's trying in these matches. She's she's brought out some new moves, things that we haven't seen from her before, and I feel like she has improved over her short time in WWE, and I can applaud her for at least trying. I don't think that she belonged on WrestleMania, but it is what it is, and they wanted to showcase her, and I don't think it was a terrible match, but definitely not what it could have been inserting another woman from the roster.
Yeah, usually I give WWE their flowers when it comes to storytelling, and this match had story behind it, because Naomi attacks Jade and then becomes tagged, out of jealousy and that sort of thing. And Jade comes back to get the revenge, and I understand you got to end that story, but I don't think you should have ended it 2 weeks ago, because Naomi wasn't strong enough to carry Jade to a WrestleMania style match, and that's why it was a little sloppy, because Jade is so green. Mm-hmm. You still needed somebody in there that was strong enough to carry her. And unfortunately, in my opinion, Naomi's not that strong, and it showed. Mm-hmm. It could have easily been, a Bianca. Bianca would have been strong enough. Rhea and Jade. Rhea would have been strong enough to lead that match and not let Jade look as green as she did, because there was pauses, there was hesitations, the timing got screwed up in a couple ways. And I think that Naomi's to blame for that.
Or hell, given the events of what would happen on night 2, put Bayley in there. We'll talk about that more when we get there. But Bayley is she is queen screwed over. She constantly gets.
I can't help but think that's a story.
I mean, I think it probably is, but still, don't keep her off Mania completely. Give her something.
That's just more fuel for the fire, man. I think we're in the midst of a major Bayley character turn.
Yeah.
Not necessarily heel turn or face turn, but just I'm sick of being looked over. I think this is all part of a plan.
Hopefully it'll be a big resurgence to her character, because Bayley is she's a pretty good female wrestler when it comes to that. But overall, Jade Cargill versus Naomi, for me, I give it a D. I don't think it belonged on WrestleMania, but I don't think it was a terrible match. And the fact that I can tell personally that Jade is actually trying and that she has grown in WWE, I'll rate it a little higher.
Yeah, I think Jade belonged on WWE because she's got star written all over, but Naomi wasn't the right one to shine and showcase Jade.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Next up, we roll with another title match. We have the United States title as LA Knight would take on Jacob Fatu. Kind of a big man match, so to speak. These two really went at it. Jacob Fatu is fantastic. I loved him as part of Contra and MLW, and it's really good to see him in WWE. And overall, I can't really say a whole lot for this match. I didn't love it, but I also didn't hate it. I thought it was just okay.
I gave it a B because it was probably the best match of the night up to this point. So it was easy. It was easier for them to be put on a great match because they didn't have to follow too much.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like the two matches before were like okay. Then when we finally got with Jacob Fatu, man, is a superstar on the way. I foresee him main event WrestleMania in the next 3 years. Because Cody and Jacob Fatu is money written all over it. Mm-hmm. But I love LA Knight. LA Knight's over. LA Knight's a great worker. LA Knight deserves every bit of fame and fortune that he's getting finally. And to me, this match I gave it a B because it was the best match of the night so far. So it was, it was finally like, oh, finally we're getting kind of a WrestleMania caliber match. I just wish we hadn't seen so much LA Knight versus, New Bloodline as much as we had gotten before that. And I feel like that's part of the reason Night 1 is I feel like a lot of these matches, man, we've seen them. So, but, B.
Yeah. Overall, Jacob Fatu winds up winning. He is your United States champion. I'm actually kind of surprised that they would give it to him this early. I don't dislike it, though. I thought the match was decent. I gave it a C. I still really enjoyed it. But again, in comparison to the other matches on there, I don't feel like the other matches were bad. I agree that they weren't WrestleMania caliber. But I didn't really feel like, this was a step above any of the rest of those in that regard. That's just my opinion. But Jacob Fatu winning, I think, like you said, I think we are definitely on the cusp of seeing some really good stuff out of him. Because, man, his work with Contra and MLW, which we haven't seen that caliber of work from him yet because he hasn't been given that opportunity.
No, he hasn't. But
I feel like with this belt, you get a mic in his hands. I feel like we're on the cusp of some really great things out of him.
Yeah, especially when we get that face turn.
Yeah.
Because then they got to do it.
Yeah.
They got to turn it. I'm not looking forward so much to see him and Solo together because, I don't know, but give me Jacob Fatu versus a Carmelo Hayes. It's money all the way.
Yeah. And the end, having Haku kind of bring him out the title, I thought that was really nice. Good to see Haku again. So
you can definitely see a face turn because he got such a big pop. And typically, old school wrestling fan in me is like, why are you bringing out a dad of a heel to hand him a title? They see the writing on the wall. Yeah. So face turn for, spoiler alert, face turn for Jacob coming soon.
Yeah. One, we see El Grande Americano against a Rey Fenix. This was supposed to be Rey Mysterio. He got injured literally, I think, the Monday before.
Was it the night before?
Oh, the night before, okay.
Yeah, the night before.
So he got injured the night before on, I guess it was SmackDown. I was out of town, so I actually did not see that. But he did get injured. They inserted Rey Fenix. It was super cool to see Rey Fenix get a WrestleMania moment, especially in his infancy within WWE. I really am liking the fact, though, that they bring not only him, but Penta in, and they make them feel like big stars. We got old school vignette promos to bring them back. And then, like I said, already being on WrestleMania as little bit of time as they've been there, I think that's great.
Yeah, no doubt. And at first I was kind of saddened that Rey Mysterio got injured because I was hoping that we were gonna get into this unmasking situation with El Grande, and then by some fluke that it really Chad Gable under the mask. And I think we were gonna get that, but so in its place with Rey Fenix, I just thought, okay, this is just gonna be a great match, and man, damn, it was. Like, I sat down to watch it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot, man. There was a couple of times when, it surprised me. I was like, oh, damn. It was a lot better than I ever anticipated it to be.
Yeah. And, Chad Gable, up till this point, he's been kind of doing almost like the Kurt Angle gimmick with a lot of mat wrestling kind of style up till this point. Everybody knows it's him under that mask, but, man, who the hell knew he could fly like that and do the high-flying style? Definitely, again, on the heels of announcing a partnership with AAA, this was a match, I think, to showcase that partnership a little bit, and it did not disappoint. It was a great match.
It really was, and a great showing for Rey Fenix, especially with it being his WrestleMania debut. I think, it was a good last-minute feel, but yeah, I'll give it a B because the match quality was just outstanding.
I gave it the exact same. Definitely can't wait to see what happens, man. Chad Gable's putting on some wrestling clinics right now. For me, match of the night up until this point. There will be one other match to overtake that, in my opinion. But up until this point, for me, match of the night, fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up, we have the WWE Women's title on the line as a returning Charlotte Flair would take on the defending champion Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton as champion is just not working for me. I don't know. This one had some pretty decent build, though, going into Mania. We had the, of course, off-script mic work that has now been edited out of all WWE YouTube videos and segments.
Was it off-script, though?
I don't know, but they have edited it out. But, I mean, they've had a lot of really good brawling up until this, which is something that we don't get a lot out of the women. Throwing each other into the barricade. That real, like, hard hitting. And I was actually really looking forward to this. But, man, this match, for me, it drug. I did not care for this one.
I like this one. And back to your point where you said, off script. Were they off script, or is this just the way we're going to start telling stories from now on?
Where Triple H era is very much about that.
To where you think, oh man, she went off script. Did she? Would what is she, in her first year, full year on main roster?
Yes, I believe so.
Up and coming, very popular star. This would be like Carmelo going off script on a Cody Rhodes.
Big career suicide, really.
You're gone. Yeah. You're down. So to me, I believe, just like back to the Bayley situation where she's going on all these interviews, we all know that kayfabe is dead. Everybody knows wrestling is fake. But to get you to wonder, man, she went off script. Ooh, I can't believe she said that. This is the new kayfabe. Yep. So you needed that for this match, because if you didn't have that match, it was going to be overlooked and it was going to be lost in the shuffle because it was headed that way. But once they went off script, everybody started talking about it. All the podcasts started talking about it. They started, like you said, edited it out. It's a new wrestling kayfabe trick.
Yeah.
Because people go, well, they edited it out. It's got to be real.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It's just like Owens.
Or did it just add intrigue?
Oh, yeah. It's just like Kevin Owens attacking it. Was it Cody Rhodes, kind of behind the scenes where the fan had to leak the video.
Exactly. But I gave it a B. I thought it was great because they built that emotion. So you had to have Smash Mouth, man. You had to have this. This isn't a dance anymore. This isn't a sports competition. This is, I can't stand you, I'm going to fight you. So, and I liked it because it did have those moments of tenseness that kind of went out of time a little bit, but it went out of time due to the intensity of them trying to hurt each other. And there were some stiff shots in that match.
Very much so.
But to me, it was a B.
Which can be seen by Tiffany Stratton's teeth at the very end.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, hell, who do they have as a dentist on there? Because they were fixed by the time the post show got there for her to speak. But anyways, I love the build to this one. I thought it had a lot of really good build. For this one, for me, though, I did have to give it a C. To Dan, it kind of a rebuttal to him. He said that some things did go out of time. It is very noticeable a few times there, some missteps, some miscues, nothing like glaring, nothing like massive botch work or anything like that. But just those miscues and things, given what we are used to seeing out of Charlotte, I don't know. This one just didn't do it for me being a Charlotte Flair match, and I had to give it a C. But still, still a pretty damn good match given, again, the card of not one. So then that brings us to match 7 and the ending for night 1, which is probably the biggest built match of the entire both two nights of WrestleMania, and that would be Roman Reigns against CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, with the Paul Heyman intrigue kind of hanging over all of them. This was a pretty amazing match, all in, I thought.
It was. Triple threats are always hard to organize. They're hard to map out, but they did it perfectly in this match here. Lots of drama, lots of ups and downs, lots of twists, especially at the end. And it got an A from me. All because it was a great match, but man, that story building into it and the ending that we got to is soap opera 101. I love the fact that you got Roman and you got Punk both kind of looking at Heyman like, who are you going to choose, man? Who are you going to choose? And he gives it to Punk. So Roman's just defeated. Punk's laughing. And then Punk's gets the nut shot. Roman's laughing. And then boom, in the end, he gets the ultimate nut shot for Roman. Which I saw that coming in the build, because the last few weeks, Roman has been very, you wouldn't be who you are. You wouldn't be around if it wasn't for me. Paul Heyman's not that kind of guy. But yeah, ultimately I gave it an A because of what we eventually got to in the story as a whole. That was good. It was great.
I gave it a B only because I'm not the biggest fan of triple threats. But overall, if a triple threat had to be done, I feel like this was great. Yeah. I saw the Paul Heyman turn coming in, much like Dan, in the build. I'm intrigued, though, that they, even though I saw it coming, I am kind of intrigued that they would go that route. Just because I thought he might go with Rollins, but I thought he also might walk away completely because they're putting Heyman with these guys almost like they need a heater, like they need a mouthpiece, and all three of these guys are great on the mic. Rollins, in all honesty, in my opinion, is probably the strongest out of the three. So to put Heyman with him, I understand what they're going to be doing with building the Paul Heyman guys and building that new stable after adding Braun Breaker. The night after. So I am intrigued to see kind of what happens. I thought it was a great match, and I gave it a B. One of the biggest things for me is those new announce tables. Man, when they exploded when they did the table spot on there, and it was like it made it look much more impactful just because of everything going the way they were.
Yeah, they're not easily breakable like the other ones.
No,
you could tell they really had to put some oomph to get those guys through them.
Oh yeah,
and there they did. They exploded everywhere.
Yeah,
yeah.
Great way to end night one. Match of the night for sure for me was that one. Almost damn near the match of WrestleMania in my opinion.
Yeah.
But overall, really enjoyed that one. Great way to end the night. Love CM Punk finally getting his main event. That's a story that is has been told for 10 plus years at this point. That was a big reason he never he left. So really enjoyed that. I love CM Punk. Overall, really enjoyed it. So let's move right along into night two. We open night two, and we have the Women's World Championship opening the night. You have Bianca Belair against Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky, and holy hell, this is probably out of this Mania, in my personal opinion, probably the only match that I would say would be a match of the year contender. I feel like some people may throw Punk in there, and rightfully so. Just for my personal taste, though, this
was
amazing.
This worked. This hit. This went. Yeah, this was everything that a Mania match in general should be. And maybe I felt like it was that great just because of the way night one kind of flowed and went. But man, this was match of Mania this year, no doubt.
Easy.
Yeah, and I got to think, before it started, before Mania started, I'm like, man, we got a lot of multi-man matches here. Like, I don't know. Maybe they were just trying to get all the stars on the show. Maybe this is going to be a mistake. Mm-hmm. Neither one of the triple threats were a mistake. Mm-hmm. And this one was definitely, as of right now, match of the year. Could it be topped? It probably will. But right now, I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. Match of the year. Because it was just, and the winner was correct. It should have been Io. Mm-hmm. And they went in the right direction there.
Yeah. Yeah, I really would have loved to have seen Rhea win. I agree that Io was the right call. I was kind of hoping Rhea would win, but also give Io her time to shine. And I definitely can't wait to see, because I think Rhea Ripley will definitely stay in that title picture, and I can't wait to see some singles matches with them, because I think they're going to tear it down. Man, the Swanton, on top of them in the pin, that was a hellacious spot, and I don't know how Rhea Ripley got up and walked out, because she's already bent, and you could fully tell that is where the brunt of Io Sky's all 110 pounds of her, that's where it went, was on her, and I'm like, damn, that was probably one of the most impressive moves I have seen in a very long time. So yeah,
it was awesome.
I gave it an A. Like I said, match of the year candidate for me. As of right now, I don't know. It's a combination of that and probably Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher from AEW's Revolution. But I don't know. I don't know which one I'd go with. Next up, though, match 2, we have the Sin City Street Fight, as Damian Priest would go against Drew McIntyre. Another match that, again, I feel like we could have gotten on Raw. Not really anything special in this one, I don't feel. It wasn't a bad match. Again, it wasn't bad, but again, when you're looking at the grand scope of WrestleMania, I didn't feel like it was anything great either.
Yeah, and it just felt like something I'd already seen. And maybe we haven't, but I feel like I've seen this, before. And Drew McIntyre is probably one of the best heels in the business right now. And I really do think that Damian Priest's star has faded a little bit.
I would agree.
So they're going to have to work on that. But this just I didn't care. I didn't care at all about the outcome. I didn't really care about the match. The Sin City Street Fight, so it's going to be carnage. But yeah, I just feel like it's something I'd seen before, and it's D because, like you said, a Raw match. We could have had it on Raw.
I really would have liked, I mean, if you're going to call it a Sin City street fight, I really would have liked to have seen some Las Vegas stuff thrown in. Like, hit him with a, at least have like a casino machine or so,
slot
something.
Machine or, blackjack table, roulette wheel.
Something, yeah. I mean, back in, 15, 20 years ago, they would have done something like that. They didn't this year. It's not a big, it's not a huge flaw or anything, but it would have been nice to have seen.
Street fight.
Yeah. I gave it a C. I also hate the fact that we're putting McIntyre, he is a hellacious worker. He's a great worker. And we're having to put him in all of these kind of like street fight stipulations. Put him out there and let him wrestle because he's a great wrestler. Yeah. I mean, him and Punk, they had a huge feud around them, and the Hell in a Cell was great. But I felt like that needed to kind of be the end of that for McIntyre. Put him into some actual wrestling matches, get him back as in a prominent position because the man deserves it. He's a fantastic wrestler. Yeah. We move right ahead, though, to the Intercontinental title match of the night. This is a four-way match, so we have Braun Breaker against Penta, against Finn Balor, against Dominic Mysterio. So two members of the Judgment Day. Yeah. You knew that something was brewing in this one. Again, I'm not a huge fan of multi-man matches simply because you've always got someone laying in wait. You've always got someone having to do the double down and kind of, hold out for it. But I felt like all four of these guys are great workers, and they made it work to the best of their ability. Overall, pretty decent match. I loved Penta and Braun Breaker in this one. I thought they both looked extremely strong, and the future is nothing but bright except for Braun Breaker, especially what we would see with him now being the Paul Heyman guy. Yeah. So overall, though, we would have Dominic coming out and winning the match. He is your new Intercontinental Champion, so props to him.
And he pinned Finn.
Yeah.
Which I thought that's the only story you got to tell. Yeah. It's him pinning Finn, and it was the right call. I liked the match. I really did. I wasn't expecting much because I'm like, here we go, another multi-man match. It's now there's four, not just three. There's four. But man, it was really impressive to me, and I didn't feel myself looking away, and because all four of these guys are just fantastic. Dominic, man, if you would have told me 2 years ago that I was going to be a Dominic Mysterio fan, I'd have laughed at you because I thought, man, this kid's going to be here for 6 months and he's going to be gone. Yeah, it was him. Or actually, probably 4 or 5 years now, right?
Yeah, he's been there.
When he was tagging with Ray when the Mysterios. Yeah. I thought, who is this little kid, sucker eating punk? And they were just beating the hell out of him. So, but to see him do all this and to become, he's over now. I mean, there's no more heel Dominic. He's a face at this point. But I love him. I love his character. Every time he comes out, I'm entertained. So I gave this match a B because all four guys are workhorses now. And man, they went with the right call. It was a WrestleMania feel because him winning the Intercontinental Championship. I loved it. How he goes halfway up the ramp because they told him to, but then he runs right back down to do one more of these. Yeah, he deserves it. I gave it a B.
I would agree. It was called correctly, and I am actually glad that we did get the Dominic Finn Balor story because the Judgment Day is another group that it just needs to be over. Yeah. You had Edge as kind of the focal point. Edge is now completely gone in a whole other company, and you're still trying to keep it on with this whole Finn Balor thing. And then they've added Carlito, which is, in my opinion, just a complete waste of him. And I'm glad that they went this route, and hopefully we get an end to that. And overall, I gave it a C. I didn't think it was a bad match. But again, I think that just speaks to more, I'm not a huge fan of the multi-man thing because you've constantly got, you've always got downtime from somebody.
And back to what you were saying about, there's always got to be downtime. There's always going to be a guy doing this, waiting for his cue. I will say this to the production. They do make sure you don't see a lot of those guys waiting anymore.
Oh, very much so.
Before, back in the day, there would be a wide shot and you'd kind of see the guy just peeking over. And I dare say AEW still kind of does that.
Yes, they do.
But WWE, man, if somebody's coming in, that shot is close to whoever's going to get kicked in the face or whatever. So production is a lot more on top of that, and that does help the flow and help the visual presentation of a multi-man match.
Yeah, very much so. I would agree. All right, so next up, match 4 on the card. If you can really even call it a match, this would be Randy Orton with his open challenge. He was going to get his WrestleMania match. Kevin Owens, unfortunately, finding out that he would need some neck surgery and having to go away for a little bit. And who would come out to answer Randy Orton's challenge? It was Joe Hendry, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. I was really hoping that we were going to get Nick Aldis, considering we had like 2 of Randy Orton's RKOs back to back. I was really hoping that we were going to get him, but instead we got Joe Hendry. Yeah.
To me, I was hoping for Rusev. I was hoping for Rusev, and I was hoping for a good 20-minute competitive match for Randy. This started off as the pretzel match, so I would have already gotten up and went and tried to get me a big pretzel with cheese. But then, as soon as I heard Joe Hendry's music, I would have thrown the pretzel down and came running back, because the pop that Joe Hendry got was first of all surprising and astounding. And I love the fact that the TNA World Heavyweight Champion was on WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Not just a Raw, not an NXT pay-per-view. TNA was represented on Wrestle Freaking Mania. Mm-hmm. And to me, that just shows a broadening of the business. That just shows that, man, there's going to be some good stuff ahead. So this was, but it's not anymore. And I gave it a C. Just on pop alone. You can't grade this as a match, because I don't necessarily think it was a match. But it was a surprise factor, and I gave it a C. Just the pop that Joe Hendry got, and the fact that TNA represented on freaking WrestleMania.
Yeah. I would agree. However, I did give it a D. I love Joe Hendry. I love TNA. They, by far, I think are doing some of the best wrestling pay-per-views in the pay-per-view spectrum right now. To see what Scott D'Amore did with bringing TNA back now, D'Amore is gone, running Maple Leaf Pro, and you've got all these other, faction heads in, and they are keeping it rolling. They are having some serious stuff, but they're also still doing kind of the dumb comedic stuff, as we just got the deletion with the Hardys and the Nemeths again. But my big thing with this is, I wanted Joe Hendry when he came out. I was like, okay, maybe we're going to get a 20-minute match. I don't think Joe Hendry needed to be booked like he was ever really going to beat Randy Orton. I don't feel like he needed that. But no longer than this match is, it was great to see TNA, shown, but it was almost like you bring their world champion out and then you buried them in a matter of just a few minutes. The pop was clearly there. It clearly was going to be something that the fans were going to be engaged and interested in. And to beat him that quickly, I feel like you almost buried him a little bit, and I didn't appreciate that, because, if you're going to have TNA, at least showcase and bring him out. Let him work, 10, 15 minutes. At the end of the day, you're going to get Randy Orton going over. It's Randy freaking Orton. But, I feel I really would have liked to have seen it be a little longer. Yeah.
Yes and no. I see your point, but I also see the fact that WWE is still the biggest show in the world. And there's a perception aspect that you got to keep in your fans' heads.
Yeah.
I think it was a great plug for TNA. It's a great that they were on WrestleMania. But to think that another league, quote unquote league, is going to come in and be competitive with their 20-year legendary top star, top 10 of all time, and to see that they're going to let him be competitive and almost near miss and near fall, I don't see that happening. I think WWE, in their perspective, was like, "Hey, buddy, here's a little rub. Mm-hmm. We put you on WrestleMania, but this is what's got to happen if you're going to do it," kind of thing. But into Joe Hendry's credit, he didn't feel like it was a squash. He didn't feel like he was buried. He was like, "Dude, I got to be on freaking WrestleMania."
Yeah, of course.
And for those out there that don't know TNA, maybe they'll check it out, and I hope they do.
Yeah. Definitely. TNA's killing it right now. Like, they have a amazing roster. Yeah. You've got a great group of up-and-coming guys. You've also got some of the older generation from WWE. So,
and I'll tell you this, it's not over. Joe Hendry's contract is up this year. Joe Hendry's WWE bound. I guarantee you we get that 20-minute Joe Hendry Randy Orton match.
Yeah.
At some point. Maybe this year.
Yeah.
So, it ain't over yet.
Maybe SummerSlam or Survivor Series. We'll see.
You never know.
Yeah. That was just kind of my thing. I really would have liked to have seen him got a little longer. But, you are right. He was on WrestleMania. No one can take that away from him. And, next year, you take his run, he might not get that pop next year. He's so hot right now. There's no telling what can happen in a year. So, Super great to see him, though. But next up, we had AJ Styles against Logan Paul. Logan Paul, yet again, amazing. He's a highlight reel in the ring. They put him against a workhorse and a true amazing professional like AJ Styles. And I thought that it was good. However, personally, I thought this was one of Logan's lower tier matches. I didn't feel like this was as good as maybe like his SummerSlam match against Ricochet. I felt like he had some better matches. But I also think that's a credit to AJ being a little older and having to slow down that style, especially after, he just came off of an injury. I think he's really trying to get through the remainder of his time with WWE without getting injured again.
Yeah.
He definitely, I'm not saying that he didn't work hard. He did. This was still a good match, but he didn't do all the, the high flying stuff that he has done previously. But overall, I still really enjoyed this match.
I did too, and to your point, it wasn't a typical, what we've seen before in Logan Paul. What we've seen before in Logan Paul is a lot of spectacle. It's a lot of, some high spots. It's a lot of Daredevil-ish type stuff, coming off the top, on the outside, through the thing. But giving a wrestling mentality, if Logan Paul is going to be around for the next 10 years, you're going to have to slow him down. You're going to have to make him more of a wrestler. And I feel like maybe that was the mindset. Maybe that's why this match was so different than his other ones, because they were like, listen, you're going to have to start bringing your style down a little bit so that, one, we don't have to keep topping ourselves, because we can only do that so much. But second of all, we want to make you seem legitimate. And there was never a better opponent than to have that more wrestling match than with AJ Styles, who in my mind is top 5 all time.
Oh, easy.
So I think that's kind of it was different. I will give you that, but I think it was by design to ground Logan a little bit more in his wrestling game,
give him some longevity within the company.
Exactly.
Overall, I enjoyed it. I think just given what we've seen out of Logan Paul previously, I did give it a C. But again, a C for me is not a bad match. I still thought that this was one of the stronger matches out of all of night 2, even still. But I felt it could have been a little stronger. But again, I think given AJ's age, given probably Logan Paul's still relative inexperience, and again trying to show him down to slow him down to give him some longevity. Next up, the Women's Tag Team Championships. This would be Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez as they are going against Laya Valkyrie, and who was supposed to be Bayley. They did an angle where Bayley, of course, was injured right before, and we get instead a returning the man, Becky Lynch. I don't know. For me, Becky Lynch, again, she's another one that's been there so long. It was cool to see her return. But again, you've got all these people who have been there. She came in, and her and Lyra would wind up winning this match and becoming your women's tag team champions.
For a day.
Until they lost it the next night on Raw. And it just, I didn't feel like it needed that. Like, let Liv and Raquel keep it.
Retain. You could have turned Becky that night at Mania. You didn't have to have a 24-hour tag reign just to turn her heel.
No.
Like, you could have done that on Mania night.
And I feel like it almost, to book it that way, almost hurt Liv and Raquel a little bit, because it almost makes them look incompetent to lose. And but it is what it is. It was cool to see Becky Lynch back. We'll see what we get out of her.
See that? I'm not a Becky Lynch fan. I was a fan of the man when she was getting that edge, getting away from the Irish last kicker, and just kind of getting that edge of her getting that big bloody nose. All that was just fantastic. And then I get it. I have children. I love my children. You want to have them. They're blessings. But she kind of left to have a kid at the wrong moment. And then I think when they brought her back after the childbirth, it was big time Bex and all that stuff. Her and Charlotte have been such mainstays for 10 years now in that women's division that I feel like, even with Charlotte being gone for almost a year, and even Becky, she's been gone since last SummerSlam?
Maybe, yeah.
Something like that. I feel like it still wasn't long enough. I feel like people are still just tired of seeing them, because we have so many more great women stars now. Your Tiffany's, your Jade's, your Naomi's, your Bianca's, your Rhea's, Liv's, Raquel's, Lyra. There's so many others, but they continue to go back to the same old thing, and I think they're making a mistake. They did the perfect thing of putting Tiffany over Charlotte, because that would have that would have totally killed Charlotte in the fans' eyes. But I feel like Becky's kind of leaning on that. We're kind of getting sick of this.
I feel like WWE does a lot of that. They go back to the well, to what brought them to the game 10 years ago, maybe even longer, as we'll maybe see in the main event here. And in my eyes, again, build your stars. And like you said, not only, I think my biggest thing with it is if you want to bring them back, that's perfectly fine. They still have things to offer the business. But why are you bringing not only Becky Lynch, but also Charlotte Flair? You're bringing them back and putting them in a title sequence. They didn't really have to fight. They didn't have to claw. It was, oh, I've been here 10 years and I want the belt. Don't do that, because it just diminishes everything that all your other women have done that have been on the live events and have been on the pay-per-views and the Raws and the SmackDowns during your absence. And, you know, it just really sucked. I'm not a huge Becky Lynch fan either, but I will say she is usually pretty good at reinventing herself every time she comes back. So I am kind of interested to see kind of what we get out of her. Overall, though, this, to me, I mean, aside from her coming back, it was nothing special. It was a Raw match. As a matter of fact, if you watch Raw the next night, it was pretty much the same match. There wasn't much difference. So, for me, personally, I gave it a C.
Yeah, I give it a C, too. Let me write it down real quick. But I'm not, like, goes back to Becky Lynch, man. I don't see. But, I don't know. I'm just not a fan anymore, man. I feel like we've seen enough, really. And we've definitely seen enough for the main event. But we'll get to that.
Yeah. So next up, the undisputed WWE Championship, as Cody Rhodes would go against John Cena, and this is a whole bag of shits. I think for me, my thing is this: you want to do the long-term storytelling with Cody Rhodes. I actually really enjoyed that, the finishing his story against Roman Reigns the next year. Then you have the whole Rock thing where you know it's almost like when it's time, I will come and I will have an opponent for you. Actually, that was intriguing. It was like, okay, they're going to bring the Rock back. They're going to do this, that, or the other. And the Rock does come back with John Cena, and I don't feel like John Cena needed to be anywhere near this. But if you want to bring him back, that's fine. But my number one question is, where the hell was The Rock for WrestleMania? You didn't continue that story with him. He's just dropped out. And then they try to tell the story that is the same story that all these long-term baby faces tell when they turn heel, and it is the fans. You are the ones who made me do this. We've completely, again, swept under the rug that maybe The Rock paid you. The Rock came to you wanting to take the title from you. Like, we've swept that under the rug. And again, long-term storytelling, maybe we get something like that at a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series. But like we've completely lost what brought us to the game at the start of this storyline. And then the match was just, I mean, Cena's older. He can't do what he did years ago. And you put him in there against Cody Rhodes, who is in his prime, who the fans adore. And they gave us what they gave us to close out WrestleMania. I wasn't a fan.
Not at all. I was a fan of the John Cena heel turn because I thought it was going to lead to a big schmoz at WrestleMania. I ultimately thought it was going to be a John Cena victory, but I also thought it was going to be like what we've got in the last 3 or 4 years, just total bullshit and chaos at the end of a main event with this star running in and this star running in to make a save and this one and this one. And I thought we were going to get there with Travis Scott. I'm like, okay, now the bullshit starts. Okay, Travis Scott came out, Rock's next. It never happened. The one thing I think people look over is I've listened to podcasts, I've listened to and watched other reviews of WrestleMania and how shitty this main event was. And believe me, it was shit. It really was. But I think people don't understand is this whole, if you really look at the details of their interviews and what they were saying to each other, Cody was saying that John Cena can't wrestle. This was nothing but a wrestling match. A straight wrestling match with holds and rest spots, and you know, it was not your typical over-the-top WrestleMania main event. I think they made a big mistake going that direction because I think they thought that maybe it was like, oh, but damn, Cena can wrestle, but it didn't go over that way. And another thing is,
no, because years before, Cena had already showed us he could wrestle. Think about the belt for belt with him and CM Punk at Money in the Bank. That's one of my favorite wrestling matches of all time. Not of all time, but that is a fantastic wrestling match, I felt like.
And another thing, letting Cena call the match was a major mistake. In wrestling, you always, the veteran always calls the match because you assume the veteran knows better. He knows more than you. He knows what And if you look, you go back and watch that match, John Cena, you can see him deliberately call every single spot. Every single punch, every single turnbuckle spot, every clothesline. You can actually physically and you can see and visually call these spots. So I'm thinking they've made a mistake. Cody should have called that match. Cody should have been the master of that match, and I think you would have got a lot better match. But Cody, being respectful of the business, hey John, you're big match John. You can call the match. It was a major mistake. I gave this match a D. I was bored out of my damn mind. I knew we were going to get to Cena winning, but I was hoping for more theatrics and bullshit to get there.
Yeah, I gave it a C. I mean, yeah, for a WrestleMania main event, this was pretty bad. Again, the absence of The Rock, I felt personally like Cena winning without some kind of help was a terrible decision. Yeah. I mean, again, unless they swerve everybody, which they could do, unless they swerve everyone and he goes after this year, then like, part of wrestling is going in and saying Cody Rhodes may or may not win this match. And you're still doing that with Cena, but at the same time, you also have this counter ticking down if he truly is going to retire at the end of the year. And that remains to be seen because, again, we're in wrestling, we're in storytelling. We don't know exactly what way we're going to go with that. But it's like, I don't know, for me, I don't want to watch every match and be like, oh, could this be the last one that he has it because he's only got 20 days left and maybe they're going to do something. Like, I don't want to do that. And not to mention, Cena didn't need this. I feel like they gave him this to surpass Ric Flair and to be, he has the most world championships of all time, but he didn't need it. And you have so many other hungry and thirsty people on this roster that could have stepped up and filled these shoes with Cody Rhodes and had a much better match, and who, if Cody was going to lose the belt, he could have lost it to them. From what I've heard, Cody was working every live event. He was working the WWE 1999 schedule when they did SmackDown, Raw, and the lives.
Everything. He
was doing everything. Yep. And like the build up to this was a decent build up, but again, you had Cena still having to miss several Raws in between from the start, to the end. Like it, and it just, is that going to be how his title reign goes? Who knows? And it leaves a lot of open ended things that, again, he didn't need it. Why did it happen? Why was there no Rock? Just overall, I didn't like anything about this, really.
In my opinion, I don't think The Rock is going to insert himself into something and then not see it through. I think something has gone on. I think in the back there's some kind of situation. Because for The Rock to ultimately turn, when Cena turned with The Rock doing the throat cutting thing, I thought, man, this is going to be great. Because the story you can tell is Cena sold his soul years ago. The Rock went first, got the movies. Then Cena sold himself years ago when he left and started making movies. And this was The Rock saying, hey, you owe me, you owe me one. And that was him turning. And we could have said that. Dude, I hadn't had my soul in 15 years. How do you think I get movies? How do you think I do this? I got away from all this, but I keep getting drugged back. But instead, it went totally the opposite. And The Rock was never mentioned during this build-up, except for like the very end. Something had to change. There was an audible call or something. The Rock was supposed to be involved and he didn't end up being that way. Whether that be internal struggle, creative differences, something. But I will say this. Mark my words, we'll put money on it if you want. John Cena will not end this year as a heel. John Cena will see the light and will probably turn his back on The Rock and go back as a face before the end of the year. Given
what we've seen booking wise, in all honesty, I can see them calling the audible. Cena gets towards the end of his run. The Rock comes back. He turns on Cena, making Cena a face. Rock wins the belt to send Cena off happy, and we get Rock and Rhodes at WrestleMania 42. And I hope that's not the way that we're going because, again, of Rock's age and everything. But I can honestly see them, again, being nostalgic and being like, oh, it's WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans. Let's give The Rock and Cody Rhodes in a one-on-one because we didn't get that last year. And I hope that's not the direction they're going. But only time will tell.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, overall match of WrestleMania, I think we both agreed, would be Bianca Belair against Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky. Absolutely. For the Women's World Championship. A close second would be that triple threat to end night one.
Yeah, for sure.
overall, I give this WrestleMania a C. I don't think it's anything really worth rewatching. Not the worst WrestleMania I've ever seen, but definitely not anything that I'm going to go back to and pull off the shelf to ever rewatch.
Yeah, you have such a great WrestleMania like WrestleMania 40 was, from top to bottom, day one and day two. You're never going to be able to... Anything after how great that was last year is always going to feel secondary, and ultimately this one did. It seemed like it felt rushed. It seemed like in years past, like they already know, like WrestleMania 42, they already know it right now, and we're going to get there. I feel like this year was like it came down to the wire, and they were just starting to throw shit in there. But I don't know. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. It was a C for me, too.
All right, so a C from both of us. That's going to cap off WrestleMania 41. Again, I don't know. WrestleMania Backlash, I'm assuming that's probably what's next in years past. I haven't looked at the schedule because I don't watch WWE religiously. I do watch the Build to Mania, and that's about it. But yeah,
we're getting Cena versus Randy Orton at Backlash.
And see, that's my thing too. We've seen that match 1,000,001 times. Well, that was the match 20 years ago. Why are we going back to that?
They're labeling it as one last time. So Cena's going to hit all the greatest hits.
Oh yeah.
You will see Cena versus Punk probably at SummerSlam this year.
Yeah. And
it's going to be greatest hits year. But like I said, by the end of this year, Cena's going to be back in the good graces, and it'll all be
I almost feel like we're starting a greatest hits year for Randy Orton as well. While he has not said that he is retiring, I feel like all the back problems, we're starting to go back to that RKO out of nowhere, which is kind of what brought him to the dance. That's always kind of been his thing, but like he's really leaning into it again now. We'll know for sure if he goes back to the Legend Killer gimmick. But I feel like he's really getting to that. Kind of winding down his career, especially at his age. Him and Cena came in relatively the same time. It's probably about his time. I think he'll probably last on long enough to get Kevin Owens back in there, and maybe that'll be the end. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I feel like we're really starting to get to the greatest hits of him as well.
Yeah.
Kind of some of the things we're seeing. So, like I said, only time will tell what we're going to do. I can honestly see them doing the whole Rock thing and then us getting Rock and Rhodes. I hope that's not the way they go. But I can see it happening. Rhodes taking time off, coming back, being maybe for SummerSlam or being the big reveal maybe at Survivor Series or something, and then the big swerve. Only time will tell. Hopefully they do something though, because I don't know of many people that enjoyed this that are looking forward to the WWE moving forward. A lot of times out of Mania we get some storylines that we're like, but really the Heyman thing is really all that I look forward to. And that's just to see who he picks to be Paul Heyman guys.
That, I don't know if you watched did you watch SmackDown on Friday?
I watched the TLC. That was all.
Okay.
Or the live
because at Backlash we should be getting AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
And that's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, that will be good.
That's going to be great.
That'll be good. Yeah. And side note though, on SmackDown, the ladder match with the Street Profits.
Yeah, why was that on Mania?
Holy hell, that was better than almost anything that we saw on Mania, and it was on SmackDown.
And real quick, I meant to mention that on night one, Motor City Machine Guns and that whole story should have taken place with the War Raiders and New Day.
Very much so.
But I feel like War Raiders was just a commercial. But yeah, last night that ladder match that should have been on Mania.
Yeah, easy. Yeah. That was fantastic. But anyways, night 1, night 2, WrestleMania 41 is in the books. Not great, not the worst. We both gave it a C. Definitely, I would go check out, like I said, that Women's World Championship. Check out the CM Punk, Reigns, and Rollins match. Aside from that, pretty much everything else I think is a skip. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte, it wasn't terrible. If you're a big Charlotte fan or a big Tiffany fan, I would, you can check it out. But other than that, absolutely nothing. Joe Hendry was cool for the pop. AJ Styles and Logan Paul was, okay. Again, I think we're, like you said, I would agree that we're starting to see the glimmerings of maybe Logan Paul slowing down his in-ring style and becoming, getting some longevity under him in the WWE. But everything else, pretty much passable. So
yeah, it's C because the good stuff couldn't bring up the bad. So it's middle of the road.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, and it's a shame. I had high hopes for this one, like you said, especially after coming out of 40. But it is what it is. So. That's going to do it for this month's episode of One Fall to a Finish, though. Join us next month as we take on kind of the lighter side of wrestling a little bit, as we're going to talk about wrestling's funniest gimmicks on next month's episode of One Fall to a Finish. If you've liked this, make sure that you like it, share it around, get us all the views that you can, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification so that you know every time we upload a new video. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you next month with a brand new episode.
Are you ready?
Let's